Hi, I'm Whitney.
And I'm Taylor, and we're the Ghost Sisters.
Woo!
Woo! All right. So, we're back in our regular stuff.
Yeah. Do you want
Yeah.
to tell them what we did?
No.
Oh, all
I
right.
want to
Okay. Then
I
what are we
want
talking about today?
I want to wait until I finished all the things.
Okay. Well, we did nothing and it was crazy. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
Now continue on.
totes my goats. So, we are going to college again, Whitney.
Okay.
This time we're going to your least favorite place on the planet. Can you guess?
Yeah.
Where are we going, Whitney?
We're going to Tyler, Texas.
We sure are. We're going to Tyler, Texas, and it's kind of surprising how crazy Tyler. I mean, I know that you told me that it was haunted as fuck, but it is like haunted as fuck. Like I didn't anticipate it being this bad. So,
Yeah.
let's get into this. Tyler, Texas is part of East Texas, and it is the county seat of Smith County. It is halfway between Dallas, Texas, and Shreveport, Louisiana, just about, and it's along I-20 corridor. It has a population of 105,999 105,995 people.
Okay.
Hmm. An
Hmm.
elevation of 358 feet.
What
Fuck.
is wrong with you?
I'm dead. I spent all day talking. I just can't anymore. Um, it is part of the Piney Woods region, so it is still part of the woods that connect Huntsville and all that kind of stuff.
Battle of Piney Woods, which
Yeah,
doesn't involve Tyler at all.
it sure does not. But there is a battle that involves Tyler we'll talk about. Uh, it has rolling hills, hot summers, mild winters, and it serves as an educational, industrial, and cultural hub. It is known, that's the only time I'm going to say hub in this.
Oh, okay. I was about to have some words, but okay.
It is known for its rose cultivation, and it is actually known as the Rose Capital of America, and it hosts the annual Texas Rose Festival. So,
Okay. That's
yeah,
that's a new one.
yeah, I was very surprised. So, historically, this area was inhabited by the Caddo, but they were displaced whenever European settlers came along. And it was founded in 1846 and named for President John Tyler. And the reason that they named it for John Tyler was a show of appreciation for his support for Texas's annexation to the US. So, because it was,
Okay.
I know, yeah, because it was a strategically located area, it was chosen for the county seat. It had very fertile soil, it had dense forests, so it had natural resources. And early populations was a mix of settlers from the US, and it was primarily from the South. So, because of that, it meant the Southern agriculture came with it, but so did slavery. So,
I thought that's what you meant by Southern agriculture.
I mean, it goes hand in hand,
Yeah,
especially during this
yeah.
time. Yeah. So it became a local trade center, which bolstered the economic development, and then, of course, railroads just kind of skyrocketed populations. And in the 1930s, they saw discovery of oil in the East Texas oil field, which, of course, means oil. Uh,
Oh, I didn't know
oil.
what you were going to say. I thought you were going to say like population increase or something, but for some
Nope.
reason, all was a surprise.
Yeah. Uh, it was one of the largest oil finds in the world at the time. So this was a really big
Wow.
deal. Yes. And
Wow.
of course, Tyler was centered over this particular oil field. So it became the central. Okay, I lied. It became the central hub.
I'm going to
I
beat
think
you.
I think that's the last time it's said.
Is
Um,
it? Is it?
I think so.
Huh.
It brought a lot of wealth and, of course, population growth with it. And then they had to bring in manufacturing. So, clothing to machinery. It also kicked up their rose cultivation. And then we started to get into regional healthcare. We had a regional healthcare center with large hospitals and medical facilities. Of course, educational institutions were brought on. and that brought students and professionals. And through that, we continued to grow. But along with that came diversification. So we had contributions from African Americans, Hispanics, and other communities that helped to enrich the culture. Now we're getting into World War II. So it actually played,
Hooray.
hooray, it played a significant role in the war effort because it did a lot of industrial production. So it did war materials and supplies because of the oil. But in addition, there was Camp Fannin, which is northeast of Tyler, and that was an infantry replacement training center. Not 100% sure what all that means, but it trained over 150,000 soldiers. And then they also had medical facilities that they would treat soldiers at.
For everything that you're saying, it sounds like Tyler should be a bigger deal than it is. Like up until I had applied to college, like I didn't even know that Tyler, Texas existed.
Yeah, samesies.
And then I left Tyler, Texas, and I was like, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
And I don't think about it that often, but I do think about it sometimes.
Okay.
So,
Well, yeah,
you know.
basically, they are still considered an economic and cultural center, and they're still doing ongoing developments in education, healthcare, and retail. So
Are they?
I,
I just when I was there, it was just old people. That's there just a lot of cemeteries and retirement homes, and that's just where people went to die. It's the Florida of Texas.
I mean, I honestly was surprised at the areas that we're going to cover because it actually sounds like we would have a good time. Actually, one of the paranormal events that I remember was, I say one of the paranormal events that I remember, it was one that really freaked me out, was when we were moving you into your apartment in Tyler, and mom and dad
Mm,
slept at the hotel. I think you actually slept at the hotel too.
no.
No. Okay, so it was just mom and dad and I. And I woke up because I was having a dream about a ghost that was chasing me. And I felt in a triangle 3 pinpoints in my back to my soul. Like
Mm,
I woke up with 3 bruises on my back and had no way of explaining it. And that was before I was okay with paranormal. And so when I woke up,
uh-huh.
I was like, so, um, yeah,
Fair.
yeah, I remember that very clearly. So yeah, the first place we're going to talk about is the World of Chaos theme park. It's a haunted house that they hold
Okay.
they hold every year, but it's not a house, it's a like a haunted attraction kind of house, but the haunted house is actually haunted. So,
Okay, so they like got a haunted house and turned it into a haunted house?
no, okay, so let me explain here. So, the original location of this was Tyler Pipe back in the 1930s. And Tyler Pipe, it's like a warehouse kind of
I was
manufacturing
like,
thing.
you saying Tyler Pipe did not clear anything up. Like, it just
I'm
sounds
getting
like
there.
it's just a pipe underground, and it's
No.
like, I'm supposed to know what that is.
No, no. Okay, so it's a manufacturing thing for pipes. The problem was they had so many safety violations. Oh, I think this is just going to be grumpy.
Okay.
Okay, hang on. There we go. Okay, are we good? Can you see me? Can you hear
Yeah.
me? Okay.
Uh, it's not matching up, but yeah.
Oh no. Is it matching up now?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Oh my
Um
God.
it'll catch up. It'll catch up. So, Tyler Pipe had so many safety violations that they had multiple deaths and amputations, and there were even reports of some beheadings during this time
Oh
period.
shit. Wouldn't a beheading uh be an amputation?
It's technically an amputation and a death.
Yeah, I was like, it's a very severe amputation. But like
Right.
kind of like whenever they're like, "Oh, they were assassinated." It's like, when does murder turn into assassination?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
what's the distinction?
Yeah, I get you. So,
Okay.
because of all of these issues and amputations and beheadings and shit, it was nicknamed the Mangler, which is horrific.
Okay.
In the
Alright.
1970s, there was a massive fire that killed several people, and then eventually it was sold to Southern Foundries in 1973. Now, Southern
Okay.
Foundries was letting a homeless person live in one of their storage buildings, and unfortunately, he was found dead with his head bashed in from a cinder block. So he was murdered. And I actually found that he was murdered. We're going to talk about him in just a little bit. And
I don't
then,
know why, but I was like, "How do you know he was murdered? Like, what if the cinder block just fell on him?" But I get it now, like, it's
yeah,
okay.
okay,
I'm so tired.
I get it. It's good. So
So,
in 2008, the World of Chaos attraction moves in. Now, they have experienced a bunch of different hauntings, and of course, they have the regular stuff. They get apparitions, voices, footsteps, some shadows. They'll have objects moved or thrown, but there are some very particular spirits that hang out in this particular attraction.
okay.
One is a little girl. She's 7 years old. Her name is Rosa.
Rosa Diaz?
I wish. So, yeah, she's 7 years old, and I watched a video on this of a ghost hunting team that connected with her, and she claims that she was killed by someone named Casey, and she hides from two entities that are known as Redface and Blackface, and we'll talk about them in just a minute.
Hmm.
When actors move props, they will hear a little girl's voice, disembodied voice, say, "Where am I going to hide now?"
Ugh.
Yes. And then
Ugh.
she actually, the investigation that I was watching, she untied the investigator's shoes. So,
That's funny.
now,
She's a jokester.
yes. Now, Redface and Blackface, these guys
Mhm.
are demons that they claim
Okay.
that they are demons. It wouldn't surprise me if it was somebody, not demonic that's like, "I'm a demon." Um, yeah,
A
Redface,
ghost, to be clear.
yeah, a ghost, of
Yeah.
course.
The
Yeah,
the
so
way you said it, it sounds like it's just some Joe Blow that he's like, "I'm a demon."
right. So
Wow.
they are not there to possess anyone. They say they're not there to possess anyone. They just want to wreak havoc in the attraction. So they move ladders, they move brooms. One of them, red face
They
touched
they move brooms.
brooms. That
Heavens.
was very
Oh,
specifically
mercy.
stated.
Oh gosh,
They
that's so
move brooms.
spooky.
So red
How
face,
havoc-wreaking.
I know. Red face supposedly touched one of the investigators, which caused a burning sensation on his shoulder.
Mm.
Um, there is the lady in white, her name is Beth, but I found
There's
nothing.
there is
There's all
always a
yeah,
lady in white or a lady in gray.
yes. Uh,
Always.
there is a guy named Greg that died. He claims he died. I know, it's just Greg.
It's just the lady in white, the red face, the black face, and Greg.
Greg. Yeah. So he died in the Tyler Pipe fire. They asked him if oh, it says they were doing spirit box session. And it said, "Did you die, Greg? Did you die here, Greg, on this property?" And then the response was, "Yes, it got burned up." So they think he died in the fire. There was the investigators that were there. One of them's name was Chris, and it turns out that, or I'm sorry, one of them's named was Clint, and it turns out that Clint's friend Chris, who had passed away recently, was following Clint to protect him. And
Ah,
they asked Chris, "Are you protecting Clint from the demons?" And he said yes. Now,
what a like what a world. I'm just saying, like, I'm pretty sure we have had movies and stuff like that, but, like, what if we had, like, a TV show that you're following the dead person that's just protecting everyone from different, like, demons, which I am very certain is the show, so no one at me.
I was gonna say, isn't that Quantum Leap or something? I feel like that's Quantum Leap related.
I I don't know what Quantum Leap is, Will is gonna hear that and be devastated, but
He
that's
will.
okay, he can tell me about it,
He's gonna make you watch it.
and that's fine, but yeah,
Yes.
anyways.
So the final spirit that is said to haunt this place is a guy named Donald Don Ray Thedford, and this was the homeless man that was murdered. And I actually found on the City of Tyler's website that
Mhm.
he was murdered on or found on April 16th of 1991, and he no one has identified his murderer, so he's cold case. Um
Hmm.
he was known for riding his 10-speed bike around the neighborhood, and through EVPs, they were able to see that, or Donald said that he was killed by someone he knew. It was two ladies, and one of them was possibly named Gina, and it was so they could steal his bike from him. So I don't feel
Okay.
like you need to kill somebody for that, but they felt they needed to. So
Just 2 ladies
yeah,
killing him? Like,
yeah.
that's
So
strange.
my understanding is that he was comfortable with them, and so he didn't feel the need to defend himself, and then on top of that, I think he was sleeping whenever they attacked him. So,
Hmm,
yeah.
okay. It's
Alright.
weird.
I know. So, the next location is
Mhm.
Camp Ford. Have you heard of Camp Ford?
I think so. It's one of the military bases out there, right?
Yes, it is. And this
Okay.
place was crazy. I found so many videos, and it was one particular ghost hunter that was like, "This place is scary as fuck." And then I watched it, I was like, "Nah, bro, I think you scary as fuck." Like I think you're the
I
problem
mean,
here. So,
you get what you put into it, right? So if
exactly.
you scary, it's scary.
Exactly. So in 1862, this was a training camp for the new Texas Confederate soldiers, and then it changed to a prisoner of war camp within a year as Union soldiers came to the Texas Louisiana border in Galveston, and they started bringing in prisoners of war. So at first, on July,
Wait.
wait,
What wait. Why what did you say Galveston? What?
they would ship them up here. So anybody that was captured in Galveston would get shipped up to Camp Ford.
Okay, I cuz I was following and then I was like, no. I was like
Yeah,
Galveston is way too far.
yeah. So this
Hmm.
was July 1863. They had fewer than 100 soldiers and sailors as their prisoners of war. 400 more came in by November, and
Holy shit.
that prompted them building a 3-acre log stockade that used the labor of about 600 African American slaves. And it's also suggested that any African American prisoners of war were not recognized as prisoner of war and used as slave labor.
Hmm.
So the log houses, Whitney, were called
Yeah.
shebangs.
Ooh, she bang, she bang. Ooh, baby, when she move.
Yeah, I put in the LOLs.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I have
So
not thought of that song in forever.
me either. Whenever I saw
Like,
that, I was
I'm
like, "Oh, damn."
surprised I even knew what the next set was. Like, damn.
Yeah. So in spring of 1864, more than 4,000 Union soldiers were captured, which meant that the slaves were to enlarge the area to a 10 to 16 acre area. At the peak of the prisoner of war holdings, there was over 5,300 people being held. That
Wow.
being said, there were only 300 deaths. 300 deaths is still a lot, but considering it's a prisoner of war camp, that's pretty. It actually had the least amount of prisoner of deaths in Texas
And I
for a
feel
prisoner of war.
like in comparison to some of the, like, mental institutions and everything, it's actually way less than some, like, quote, unquote, "proper,"
Right,
things,
right.
so
So that still being said, that's a lot of bodies. They didn't have any more grave sites available, so they ended up just digging holes and not properly marking bodies. So
mm,
um, there were escape attempts done via tunnels because
sure.
soldiers got bored and they just didn't want to be in there anymore, and
Fair.
lots of them were successful. There was one that I read about that was not successful. That I think everybody but the last guy made it out of the tunnel, but the tunnel collapsed or
Collapsed.
something on him, and he panicked and alerted the guards. And because the guards got involved. I think all but 2 of the groups got captured again.
Dang.
So, yeah.
So wait, they just left and like they were just like, "Oh well,
No, they dug tunnels,
dang it." Well,
and
no,
they
that's what
tried.
I'm saying, but like people got away and they didn't like try to go after him and
Oh,
everything.
no.
They were just were like, "Huh."
Yeah, no, they definitely tried to go after them, but they were
Oh, okay.
typically not alerted until way after that had
It was
happened.
just the way you said it. It made it
Oh.
sound like they were like, "Oh, there they are. Oh, well, I get they made it out. Fine, whatever.
A
Okay.
for A for effort, yeah.
Sure,
Uh,
whatever."
so ultimately, Camp Ford was abandoned in May 1865 at the end of the war. Now, this place initially, all that they said, because I almost didn't include this one with the initial findings that I got, because they were like, the old soldiers haunt this place. And it's like, okay.
Wow.
But the more that I watched on it, I was like, okay, this place actually a little freaky. So, uh, there have been Native American women and children seen walking around, which is just creepy to me. Just that's real creepy. There's
Just
also,
women and children?
yeah, just women and children. Uh,
Hmm,
a Native American shaman named Jude Brewerton says that she sees an entity sitting on top of a recreated prison shelter because they have kind of rebuilt some of these to show what it looked like. Uh,
sure.
she said that this particular entity is peaceful so far, and if you do see it, it will disappear very quickly after it's being seen.
Hmm,
It is haunted by those that were executed in the Civil War, and there's a ghost of a soldier in Civil War garb that is seen marching the bridges around the area.
'kay.
They have voices, crying moans, what was broadly labeled spirit activity. I was like, isn't all this spirit activity? But it was
Ye
specifically set apart. Uh,
okay.
Feelings of being watched, mists, things being thrown. What is horrific to me is red eyes in the trees. Shadow
Mothman!
No, I wish.
Okay.
Shadow figures, shadow people, and then apparitions, and then there was the hanging tree. And the hanging
Hmm.
tree is where this dark energy is said to hang out. And so
Ha, ha.
basically, uh African you laugh at that, but then you're going to be like, "Oh," when I say the next
No,
thing.
it's just like okay. Just because I was like, "Haha, hanging the hanging tree," and he hangs out there, and you're like, "Haha," and I was like, "Haha," and then I
Oh,
laughed again, but you didn't even know what I was laughing about. Okay.
no, I missed that entirely.
Okay,
Um
I'm just gonna go to bed.
Okay, good night.
Alright.
But so African American slaves were hung in this tree in the camp for almost everything. Whether it was true, whether it was not, any kind of infraction could be seen as a reason to hang them.
Mhm.
So, the interesting thing about this is that there is a progression of feeling unwelcome here. It starts with you seeing things like mists and hearing voices and stuff. Then it will escalate to objects being thrown at you. And then, if you see the red eyes in the trees, that is your last warning to get out before stuff starts getting real.
Oh, shit.
Nobody has ever stayed beyond the red eyes. The guy that I was watching was like, I saw the red eyes, and me and the tour guide just bailed. Like, nah. He was actually there for a paranormal con that they hold in Tyler, Texas, that I
Huh.
didn't know about. I was like, well, shit. So we might have to do that one day.
Yeah, maybe we'll go.
Yeah. So the
I just imagine it's like a bunch of people, like, sitting in the dark. Like, there's no talking.
oh,
That's what the paranormal con is everyone's just sitting in the dark with their little recorders, and they're just like, "Did you hear that?" It's like a whole gaggle of people going, "Did you hear that? Did you see that? Do you smell that?" That's all the con is.
right, right,
Yeah.
yeah. So the next place that we're going is Gilbert's El Charro number one. I don't know if you remember El Charro. There were
No.
two. Okay, there were two in Tyler, Texas. And my understanding is that they were basically put into renovations, like maybe in the early 2010s or something like that. So this would have been like you were long gone at this point. Um,
Yeah,
But
I blocked out a lot of my time there, so, like, I
yeah,
don't remember a lot.
yeah. So
Yeah.
El Charro, the Gilbert's El Charro number one, was established in 1952 on East Irwin Street by Gilbert Ramirez Sr. And he arrived from Reynosa, Mexico in the 1920s and then opened a second uh, El Charro in 1962. He died in 1976, and his wife, Arabelia Ramirez, and their children took over the number one.
That's a
So
pretty name.
that is very pretty. I thought so too.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'm not saying it correctly because accents.
it's still pretty.
It is. Number one shut down for renovations, and then in 2013, both of them closed down for good with
Mm.
no real explanation as to why. Now,
I hate that. We
yes.
we have a place here that just, like, shut down for no reason. It's very upsetting.
What place?
Very doghouse.
Oh,
Yeah.
Doghouse is gone.
Yeah, they've been gone.
I liked their aioli.
That's not even the same place. I mean, they also are closed down, but no, that's not the same place. Oh my god.
They closed down in COVID, though.
I think they closed down because they had 2 locations, and I think one closed down way before COVID,
Oh, okay.
and
That's
then the other
upsetting.
one definitely did not survive COVID.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Is Doghouse the place that we went with Laura?
No,
Fuck.
that's Lazy Dog.
Ah, that's what it is. I was like, there's a dog in the name. I know that much. Okay, yeah, okay.
Alright.
I don't know what you're talking about, and that makes me kind of happy, but I'm still sad the other doghouse is gone.
Oh
Okay,
my god.
I miss that orange kitty. Okay,
Oh, yeah, I'm sure the cat's still there. Well,
well,
maybe. It's been years.
it has. Okay, that was quite the tangent. So
Yeah.
the hauntings that are experienced here, um, there is a okay. So let me start here. There was a woman named Glinda Moorhead. She was the head waitress in at number one. She went missing in 1988, and
Oh.
like no one, they still it's still a cold case to this point. They had when they looked at the scene, her wallet and her keys were left in her vehicle, and the headlights were still left on, and the ignition kind of thing. Uh,
Mm,
the only evidence that was left behind were bloodstains and a shoe that was believed to be hers. And
mm,
when she went missing is when the activity started going crazy in the restaurant. So they think that she
mm,
is one of the people haunting. Uh, the owner, before everything shut down, Rosa Ramirez, she said that the pantry was the most haunted part of the entire restaurant. People would get touched and pinched back there. She saw somebody's shirt move on its own without, something messing with it. And on two separate occasions, she had two psychics come in and they picked up on a couple dancing through the restaurant, like, dancing with each other. And it turned out that they were able to identify that it was her aunt and her uncle, Gilbert and Arabella.
aw,
Yeah, so she was
that's
like,
sweet.
so they're here and they're watching after it and stuff, and they're dancing, and that's just very nice. So they will see orbs, which we all know how we feel about orbs, which,
Yeah,
yeah. Um,
hit or miss.
yeah. Faces and photographs. They've had cups thrown off, like completely knocked off of counters. They've had a penny thrown at somebody. The lights will turn off, on and off. Um,
I don't know why, like, sometimes what gets thrown is what makes me laugh.
yeah.
Like a penny, it's just a single and, like, they were like, "Yeah!"
Eh.
They just threw it. I don't know
Right.
why, it's just funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then lights will turn on and off. The windows will open and close on their own. And sometimes they will see a face or a full figure in the windows whenever this happens. And then they'll
Okay.
have knocking and voices as well.
Hmm,
Okay. So here is the next location. This is
alright.
Rose Hill Cemetery. And this was on the obviously a cemetery has to be involved. But there is a map that I sent you, that it was the road trip of creepy cemeteries across America.
Oh, yeah, mhm.
Yeah, that you were like, "That looks gross," and I was like, "Dad and I
Yeah, I
can do it."
definitely will not be joining you. I may, like, visit a couple, like, but I'm not y'all, she wants to do this, like, 20-hour long road trip. That's if you're not stopping 20-hour,
Yep.
and I don't
I mean, it would be a like, we'd go one place and then stop for the night, and then go to the next place and stop for the night, but I know that you're still not about that. Dad and I
Yeah, I was
are
like,
okay
what
with that.
part of that makes it okay? Like, I don't wanna be in the car that long. I'm not doing that. I
Okay.
I'm I'm not doing it!
You got
Jesus.
so offended at the very suggestion. So,
Yeah,
Dad was like, "Yeah, I'll do that with you." Um, okay, so the Rose Hill Cemetery, the land for this was acquired in February 22nd of 1916, and it was approximately 46.79 acres of land. It's about 1.75 miles southeast of the courthouse, and it's bounded by South Broadway, Troop Highway, Troup, South Donnybrook, and Wilma Street. The very first caretaker was a man named Mr. Will Sims, and the first cemeterian was Mr. John Martin. I didn't know what a cemeterian is.
yeah,
It's a cemetery superintendent.
okay.
I was like,
Yeah, I
hmm.
was like, "I need more info."
Yeah, when I saw that word, I was like, well, that's fancy. So he
Hmm,
was followed by a man named Mr. Reed Nunn, and then it was taken over by Mr. A.R. Pritchard in 1949 until his retirement in 1976. After that, it was taken over by Robert Crane, and I found a documented history that went through all of these different people, and as of 2000, when this history was written, was when Robert Crane was in charge. um,
okay.
it opened for burials in April of 1917, and its first burial was May 2nd of 1917. It was Mr. Assad John Sarkis, uh, that was from Mount Lebanon in Syria. So he was born in 1882. Now,
Wow,
there are others that were buried after him that technically died before him. So there was a baby Moore, an infant named Baby Moore that died in
hmm.
1888, and then a woman named Mary Aldrich Moore in 1901. So they,
So, you had said I'm back at the first guy. He was born in 1882,
yes, and
and he
died in
died in
1917.
1917?
Yes, he was only
So he
like
was
30 something.
yeah, I was like, he wasn't that old.
No,
Okay.
yeah,
But there was a baby that died in
1880.
1888?
Yeah, that was exhumed and transported.
Oh, okay, I was
Yeah,
like, so they just, like, held on to this baby's body for, like, 20 years? Like, what?
yeah, no, they
That's
moved.
creepy as fuck.
Yeah, they
Okay.
moved the baby and Mary over to the
Whew.
cemetery.
Alright, okay, I was like, I got other problems now, like, mm-mm.
So, they also say that there's a possibility that some of the old horses that the Tyler Fire Department used were buried there, because whenever they
Oh,
were setting Wilma Street, they were cutting Wilma Street through the land, they found bones that were far too big to be human buried in the cemetery. So, they believe
okay.
that those were the horse bones. There
They didn't, like, test them
Nope.
whatsoever? They just were like, "Oh, no,
Yeah, they literally
not
were like, "Must be horses," and put them
not
back.
human.
Yeah. So,
Move on, though."
moving on.
Okay.
Um, there are also Civil War and Vietnam World War vets, and so Mr. Crane said that he could get up to 6 burials a day, and he averaged about 300 in 1 year.
Holy
So,
crap.
yeah, lots of people. This was horrific to me. There is a section known as Babyland. Yeah, that's the exact
Ugh.
face that I made. This was the babies of military personnel at Camp Fannin. This is where they were buried.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, this was now getting into the hauntings here. So this
Mhm.
isn't necessarily a haunting. This is just real creepy. there was a lady that called to tell Mr. Pritchard, and remember, Mr. Pritchard was the caretaker until about 1976, um, that she could see two lights moving from one of the markers up the hill and back to the entrance of the cemetery. And so he went up there to check and he found two candles burning on the marker. So somebody had been up there doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not a haunting, just
Okay.
real creepy. Um
Yeah.
there's a
I mean,
person.
that is his job, like, that's
Yeah,
to go make sure people don't fuck with shit, like,
right. Right.
ooh,
So there's a person that lived down the street from the cemetery that said that she was constantly having her dogs bark at nothing. She would get cold chills. She would feel like someone was watching her. The doors would open in the middle of the night. She would hear people walking around after the doors opened. Her oven and her microwave would randomly beep when they were not in use, like nobody was around it. And I was like, ooh. Um,
huh.
and she could see a white figure walking in the attic window. So
In her own attic window?
in her own home, yeah, because she lived just down the street from this. So, I was,
Hmm.
like, not sure if that's a cemetery or just, "Yo, shit haunted." So, but
I
yeah,
mean, but it makes sense, like,
yeah.
they're not technically bound.
It's like you whenever you worked next to that cemetery, like
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, they just seeing what's up, they come and checking it out. They're like,
exactly.
"I've been over here for 50 years. Let's go
Right,
see what's over here now."
right.
Yeah.
Now, this cemetery is known for one of the most famous monuments or, gravestones that's been created. This grave
Ever,
belongs
like, in the history of the
Okay, so let me put it this way, it's a very impressive gravestone. It's really cool.
okay,
So, this grave belongs to Dr. Madge Ward, and she was born on August 27th in 1911, and she died May 4th of 1995.
okay,
So, she was born in Cherokee County. She got her master's degree from Southern Methodist University. She studied in Paris, and she got her doctorate from Southern College of Fine Arts in St. Louis. And she ended up teaching in Tyler, but she
mm,
went all over the world playing the piano. So
okay,
she um, decided that she wanted to be buried under a replica of a giant grand piano. So her gravestone is literally a big grand piano.
okay.
Yes. Now,
It reminds me of I think we talked about the cemetery, where, Madame Laveau
yes.
is.
Uh-huh.
In that same cemetery, there is a guy who wanted to be known for, like, his jazz music, and so it's actually, like, I think part of his, like, contract or something, like, jazz music does play,
Yes.
like, by his grave and everything, so,
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yes.
okay,
So
anyways.
on that vein,
Uh-huh.
whenever it's dark, people will hear piano music in the cemetery in the vicinity of the grave, but there is no source for it.
Yes,
So,
there is.
it's the piano, it's her.
It's the piano.
Yeah.
Duh.
So, it's not a working piano, obviously, but yeah.
It
So,
is to her.
well, yeah. So, another instance that they had, this is not related to Dr. Ward. A girl came to visit her grandmother, and at the cemetery, she was looking for her grandmother's grave, and she saw a shadow behind a tree, and supposedly that shadow followed her home, and now she suffers from sleep paralysis and sees the shadow in the corner of her room.
Ugh.
Yeah, she said that she had never experienced sleep paralysis up to this point, and now she gets it constantly.
But we just learned about sleep paralysis.
Exactly. And that's I thought that was
So,
interesting because I was like, "But we know that there's a scientific explanation for sleep paralysis," so I don't know.
yeah.
Um, Now, one thing that I found very far-fetched is that supposedly someone died from seeing the shadow behind a tree. There's no documentation of it.
Okay.
I'm sure it's just a scary thing that somebody said.
I mean, they didn't have to go far after that, so.
Right. That's true. Yeah. So, the caretaker says that animals and birds tend to act very, very strange in the area. They get orbs, they have EMF spikes, but they've also had quite a bit of EVPs. And I watched a video of a man and a woman that are going back and forth talking to spirits. They're in the mausoleum. There's a big mausoleum. It's gorgeous.
Okay.
That they're talking to different people, and the lady is taking her EMF meter and holding it over different people's graves, basically, and saying, you know, are are you here with us? That kind of thing. Whenever she holds the EMF meter over this woman's grave and she says her name, you hear a gasp. Like this woman is surprised that she's either being recognized or surprised to learn that she's dead. So,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Um they also this guy also heard a growl, and then he said that this was one of the he was like, "This has forever changed the way that I ghost hunt, and it kinda makes me not want to go to cemeteries anymore." He asked, he hears this growl, and then he asks, "What can I do to help you communicate with me today?" And the response was, "Go to sleep."
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I won't. I will
Nope. Yeah.
never, never sleep again.
My
No,
favorite
thank you.
his response to that was, "Well, that's not great." He
Nope,
was
that
like,
I mean, it's not.
"Time to go." They were also at the grave of James Godfrey. He died in 1875, and they said, "James Godfrey, are you here with us?" And the spirit box responded, "Here, just
Present.
present." So,
May I please go to the restroom?
now I will say that this cemetery is gorgeous. Like, it's picturesque. It's got beautiful
I
grass,
mean,
beautiful
from when I was
landscaping.
there, they seem to have a lot of practice with cemeteries,
They
so,
sure do.
um, it wouldn't surprise me that it's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the final place that we're gonna be going is the Killough
The
Monument.
the final place?
Yes,
The final.
the final place for this episode.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, that we're gonna be going is the Killough Monument, and this is actually south of Tyler near Jacksonville. So, um, this was the site of the largest and last on Native American attack on
Okay.
white settlers in East Texas, and this occurred on October 5th of 1838. So this is named the Killough Massacre. It included 18 victims, and this was Isaac Killough Sr. and the families of his four of his sons and two of his daughters. So basically,
Wow.
yeah,
A
most of the
whole
family.
whole family, yeah.
Yeah. So the story that goes with this is when Isaac went to come into this area, he was unaware that it had already been given to the Cherokees, and he didn't know that this was Cherokee territory.
Hmm.
So this was set aside under a treaty that was negotiated and signed by Sam Houston. But whenever it came time for them to make good on this treaty, the Republic of Texas Senate refused to acknowledge it and then actually ended up nullifying it completely.
Oh, shit.
Needless to say, the Cherokees did not like this. And
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
yeah, so early 1838, the Cherokee resentment begins to increase. But in addition, Texas, which had just recently become annexed from Mexico, had Hispanics in it that were bitter about it not being Mexico anymore. So there started to be a lot of tension. And by the summer of 1838, there started to be talks of an insurrection from one or both of the factions, so the Cherokees and the Hispanics, and there was evidence that they might be working together to try to take back this land.
Wow.
Yes. So Killough was afraid of this, and he basically picked up his entire family and then fled to Nacogdoches. And the Cherokee leaders said in
Did you
once he
call it
was
knockadoches?
What did I say?
You said knock,
Oh
like
no,
knock, knock, knock.
it's Nacogdoches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Yeah, that was just me. I don't know why I said it that way. So Cherokee leaders, once things kind of calmed down a little bit, they said that they would allow the Killough family passage back to the land as long as all they did was harvest their crops and then leave again. Now, everybody agreed to this so that they could go
Okay.
get their food and that kind of stuff. But there was a whenever they came back, they started doing their thing. There was a group of Cherokees that didn't know about this agreement and
Mm,
attacked them when they saw them on the land.
hmm.
Now, up to this point, they had been harvesting for a total of about 5 days, and on the last every day, they had brought out their guns to make sure that they had protection. On the last day, they decided not to bring their guns because they thought that the harvest wouldn't take long enough, that they would be
Yeah.
vulnerable. So, the majority of the Killough group was killed or abducted, and the survivors, 2 of which were, a woman and her baby, and then a puppy. They managed to flee on foot to Lacey's Fort, which is west of Alto, Texas. And I listened to a kind of retelling of this, that the woman was terrified that the baby would cry or the puppy would
Mhm.
start barking and alert the Native Americans to them, and then they would end up being killed. But they
Yeah.
managed to make it to Lacey's Fort. Okay. So now there is a stone obelisk that commemorates the event, and it was erected in the 1930s, and then they put a historical marker on it in the 1965. But this is also a cemetery where the victims of the massacre are buried under rock mounds, graves, and then the rest of the Killough family is also buried in this area.
I don't
Now,
like the rock mounds. I don't
yeah,
know why. It just
it just makes it very poignant that there is a thing there. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like, just a headstone, fine, but, like,
Yeah.
I don't no, I don't
Yeah, I get you. So this place is like, even just watching it on YouTube, I was creeped out. Like, it
okay.
was at the end of a like gravel road off in the middle of the woods. It's very far away from people, and it's just
Mhm.
this big pyramid obelisk and these graves. And it's just a little fenced in area. Lots of trees, lots of grass, and it's pretty, but there is definitely a creep factor to it. So
Hmm.
one group said that they went out there and they had no phone service despite having full bars on their phone. And as they left, one of their phones started ringing, and it turns out it was from 911. And the dispatch operator said they had been getting calls from that number all night. And because it was a cell phone, they couldn't locate their location. So they were just calling it back, trying to get them. This phone had been left in the console of the car, and no one had access to it throughout the entire investigation.
Ooh,
Yes.
that's
So,
creepy.
yes, people felt fluctuations in EMF, fluctuations in temperature. There are apparitions that pop out. Uh, there have been said to be Satanists that come to the monument after dark. One guy that came said that he found a pentagram spray painted in the parking lot. Um, there are,
Why you gotta be an asshole?
yeah, even
What
he said
just
that. He was like, "Why do you have to vandalize it?" Like, of
yeah.
all places. So he also said that whenever he stepped onto the land, that he could feel the emotions of the people that were killed, and he said that he primarily felt fear, but a lot of despair as well.
Yeah.
Um, feelings of being watched. He said that he felt like he was being chased back to his car, which made me think of that feeling whenever we lived in our high
Yeah.
school home, that kind of feeling. So he was like, it wasn't until I got like miles down the road that I felt okay again. Uh, shadow
Put your
figures.
back up against the door and you're like, "It's okay,
Yes,
it's okay, it's
like,
okay."
it's okay, I'm
Yeah.
safe. Yes. Um, shadow figures in the woods, there are eerie screams and anguished sounds that come from the surrounding forest.
Mm.
Car batteries will die, and you
Oh,
can
good.
I
And now
know,
you're
yeah.
just trapped here.
So
Wonderful.
actually there was one group that his battery died, and because they hadn't told anybody where they were, it took 3 hours before a sheriff came down the road to find them.
Oh, shit.
So he was like, we were stuck in this very creepy area for 3 hours, and when the sheriff got there, we were, like, crying. So,
I bet.
yes. So you can also hear and see galloping horses in the mist, which they think is the Native Americans riding
Mhm.
horses, and there is a weird fog that only covers the cemetery. It doesn't cover the surrounding trees or the road, which is
Huh.
weird. Because that's I
Okay.
was thinking about reasons that that could happen, because vegetation will give off moisture that could create a fog, but you would
But if
expect to
it's
see it everywhere.
yeah, I was gonna say, if the cemetery is kind of void of that vegetation, then it would be weird that it would be there
So
and
it's
not
actually
everywhere else.
It is actually very vegetated, like, it's all grass and stuff, but there's a section, like, if you're looking if, like, you've got the cemetery square, there's, like, a little section over here that kind of opens out into another field. There's no fog in those areas, it's just the cemetery.
Uh,
So, um,
okay.
there was a couple that went out there with the spirit box and were just sitting kind of quietly and listening to it, and these are the different things that came through. Stay out of trouble. He won't go back. Fucking whore.
Oh,
Listen. Stop it. Look at that person. Don't bother me. Gonna break that kid's nose.
oh,
I'm a soldier who believes. Shit, kill them with joy. I was like, well, that's a
okay.
weird one, but it's
That's
very clear when you hear it.
specific.
Yes. Then they got kill them, and then it said, "I'm telling you the truth. You better get out of here." And then the final one they got was, "Can you fucking help him?"
Wow.
So,
It sounds like from those, um, there was other stuff going on than
yeah.
just that. Than
Yes.
just what you described. It sounds like the the families that were on there had other
Yes.
goings on.
Yes. And so the thing with the "you better get out of here" and the "who believes," the spirit box had asked at one point, "Are you Christian?" And the guy said, "Yes, I'm Christian. I believe in God." And that was whenever they got the "you better get out of here."
Oh,
So, yeah, it was like, "Ooh." So,
okay.
yes. On that very creepy note, that wraps up my research on Tyler, Texas.
Wow. I
Yeah.
guess there is more to Tyler than well, no.
No, it's
I was
pretty
gonna say
much
more to
just
Tyler than graves and old people. It sounds like it's just a weird mix of graves and old
yeah,
people.
yeah.
Mhm.
But it does sound to me like if we were interested in investigating any of these areas, it seems like World of Chaos will open up to paranormal investigations.
Oh,
Gilbert's is
good.
abandoned, so it's just a matter of trespassing. Like the guy in Corpus was like, if you don't mind trespassing a
If you
little.
a little trespassing never hurt anyone. But I did see for the thing in Corpus, someone responded with like, "Oh, I got permission."
Yeah.
So
So
I'm sure there's places that
that we
you
can
can
go
like
to
talk to
ask.
the city or something and
Right.
ask like,
Right. And we can talk about planning something. We can see if we can get something like that planned for next time.
yeah.
Maybe George and Nancy will go with us. So,
Yeah.
um so yeah, I was very surprised at how much I got on Tyler, Texas, and I got to say I'm kind of interested in going. So,
I mean, I would make a trip back out there.
yeah,
It I don't I won't be staying that long.
I would say a weekend. Like
That's it. I have no intention of staying any longer than that because like, ugh.
I mean, when it comes down to it, I would imagine Gilbert's would be difficult to get into. Camp Ford is
Mhm.
open pretty much all the time. Rose Hill closes its doors, I believe she said at 5 p.m. So we'd have to do that during the daytime. And then
Mhm.
Killough is just out in the middle of nowhere, so we can go to that. It doesn't have a closing time. So yeah, that's we could make a weekend out of it and get a
As long
four-fer.
as people know that we're going to the Kill Out place, because it doesn't sound like it's, like a tread lightly kind of area, so
It would be a, like, Will or Dad would have to go with us kind of
yeah,
thing. I
like
would not be
someone
comfortable being out there by ourselves.
yeah, like someone knows where we are and will be coming
Yeah,
to check on us every so often.
yeah,
Yeah, that
basically.
would be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, cool.
yeah. So that
That
wraps up.
was
We've got one more place to go for college, and,
mhm.
that would be me.
For oh, I was like, for my colleges? Like, there's so many.
No, because I'm
Mm.
gonna do, like, where your last one was. Well, actually, now you've got, like, 3 more, right? So, um,
Yeah,
your
that's why I was saying.
okay, so maybe it's not the last one for college, but your college, your last few colleges kind of meld in with the next 2 close to homes. So,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So yeah, we hope
Yeah, well, That was spooky,
Good. And I hope y'all found it spooky too. And we hope you keep listening.
and we will spook you bitches later.
Spook you later, bitches. Goodbye.
Bye.